So, Aaron, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, Roger. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no worries at all. No worries at all. So, where are you right now? You before we got talking right now, before we arrange this podcast, you mentioned that you was going to be going overseas. So, where are you right now?
Yes, I'm currently in Malaysia. That's
Ooh.
where I originally from. So just came back for a holiday vacation, as well as escaping the lockdown in the UK.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, it's quite it's quite cold here, I must admit, and sunlight is very minimal. I see you've got aircon in the background there. Is it? I see air
Indeed,
conditioning.
indeed. Yeah, we need that. Like now is around eight, half eight at night,
Mhm.
and it's still very, very warm here. It's around 25 to degree Celsius, even at night. So I'm sweating. I'm literally sweating.
Right.
In the daytime, it's close to 35 to 40 degrees. It's all year long.
Wow. Wow. And you're there with your family, right?
Yeah, my families are all here. We are running fruits wholesale business in Malaysia.
Oh, that's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, other than that part of your business, one of the reasons why I got you on today is to talk about property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as you know, I'm very interested in property and different types of ways in which you can make property investment work.
Yep.
And we met. Where do we meet? On a course, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the business mastermind.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, hit it off. And I remember turning up at one of your events. What is that called?
Yeah.
Square Mile Property Meet.
Yeah, Square Mile Property Meet. The reason it's called Square Mile is we have the event literally in the Square Mile. So traditionally, it's called City of London Square Mile, which is financial district of London. And the reason I started that was I was working in the city and I work long hours like many other city workers, especially in finance. And what happened was every time I finish work, I want to go out to network with property entrepreneurs and investors like yourself and myself. And it's just there's none other events that is close to my doorsteps. So some other need to travel half an hour, 45 minutes to the place for networking, and so I decided to start my own, and
Amazing.
that was simple.
Yeah, yeah. And that's good. If you can bring it to your doorstep, it saves you traveling around. I remember
Yeah.
when I was going to there was uh, there was one meetup which is called Yes Property.
Yes, yeah, that is in Richmond. So probably take me about 45 an hour to get there.
And for me, about 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah,
Insane, right?
exactly.
Um, so yeah, what you've done there is amazing. And in fact, when I went there, I met quite a few different types of people, not just property investors, but people that
Mhm.
were coaches in different fields. They have
Yep.
different types of businesses, so it gives you the opportunity to network with a bigger variety as well. You know,
Yeah. What
um,
was the topic when you attend the event?
um, I think it was there were parts to do with regulations on HMOs. Um,
Okay.
I'm just trying to think of actual speakers there.
So it's about HMO property investing.
Yeah, yeah, HMOs, and I think there were some other stuff. It was a little while ago, um, but there was a lot of noteworthy stuff to put down, so it was cool. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, really good. So, what got you into property yourself? Because I know that your background was something completely different. As you said, you were a city worker. What was you doing before, and how did you get into property?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I was born in a family business, as I said, in Malaysia. So starting a business is always in my mind that I wanted to do one day. I haven't thought much and do much of it until recent years. So I finished my 2 degrees in actuarial science. So what it means is that financial mathematics and statistics in finance products, and that's what I specialize in, like risk management, for example. So after I finished my 2 degrees, I work in City of London for 6 years in investment consultancy. We mainly advising institutional investors, range from few hundred million to 10, 20 billion pounds of funds. So we advise them on their investment strategy. So I was in a risk modeling and investment strategy team. So basically we are the numbers team, numbers guy of the whole company. So we produce all the numbers, all the strategies, and then present it to the clients. And that is really my background in the past 10 years or so, my study, my education, my work. And alongside while I'm working halfway through, I was attended to a course that we both shared, and thought that is a good idea to get into property. And as many people do as well, read the Rich Dad Poor Dad about 15 years ago. So I decided to make a start in property business really about 3 years ago. And that was the beginning. And while I'm working full time in the corporate world and starting my property business alongside during weekends and put in the late evening hours to make it work. And in the past 3 years, so far we have acquired over £1 million of the worth of property under the brand of Aquire Property Group, while I'm working full time, as well as running the events that I mentioned just now, Square Mile Property Meet. In the past 2 years, we have sold over 1,000 tickets in the past 2 years, and connected with hundreds and hundreds of people, property related people, investors, developers, like yourself. So that was kind of the summary of what happened in the past 3 years. Recently left my corporate job. I built up a small portfolio, or Hmo portfolio, do a bit of buy and sell flipping projects. And now I'm full-time focusing on property.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you feel secure to move from a job that you'd been in for so many years to then go into property? I know that was your I guess your passion to decide to follow your dream. But, for many people, if they've been in a job for so long, that security normally holds
Yes.
them back. How did it feel for you at that particular point, especially you having a newborn as well? How was it?
It was a tough but also easy decision, because it's something that I always wanted to get into property and start my own business. So it was pretty stable to work full time in a city. You got good pay, working on the job that I like. I like numbers. I like investment. So it's fine. Like I like working with other really smart people. The company I work with are very, very growing rapidly in the past 10 years. And the people I work with are super smart. They're people from Oxford and Cambridge, a maths degree, so genius.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I came from a business environment, like business, family business. So I understand the fundamental and what it takes to grow a successful business. So for me, it was tough in terms of for myself, like having the secure payroll coming in. So that's one of the things, become employee, and the difference between employee and business owner. When you are employee, basically, when you turn up to work, you do your job. As long as you meet the requirement from your manager, you get paid every month, right? And that is pretty certain every month. But entrepreneur and business owner is the other way around, where you put your money into something on a business or a project, and then you almost see no return. And not only that, you need to pay for all the professionals who are working with you, and you need to pay for your investors, and you see all the outgoing, before you see the results, before you see the reward. So that is one of the things that hits me in reality, that being employee is so stable, you just get paid no matter what, whether business good or bad, you just get paid. But being an entrepreneur is taking a leap of faith, that you take a calculated risk, right? You understand that when you're entering a property projects acquisition, you know that it will make money in 1 year or 2 years time, because it might not make you money in the first year. And more often, first year is the riskiest year, because you buy the property, things could go wrong. You do the refurb, things could go wrong. You refinance, things could go wrong. And those are the risks that we are taking. But knowing that what will be a reward in the future, you'll be happy to do that transaction. So that's one of the things that I found that is a real difference between being an employee and an entrepreneur.
That's fantastic. That is really interesting, because when you've been doing that for so long, you know, at a certain date, let's say right at the end of the month, you know you're going to get paid, and you're almost planning how much you're going to save, how much you're going to spend. You know exactly how it's going to work. It's so
Yeah,
predictable. And I think as humans, we like to know what is going to happen. We want to be
yeah,
able to predict stuff. If we
yeah,
can't, then I think that's where a lot of people start to build anxiety and feel uncertain. So yeah, taking that leap is really, really interesting, and it takes a
yeah.
strong-minded person.
It
So
is. Yeah.
sorry, was you going to say something?
No, I'm going to say it's a leap of faith, really, at the end of the day. Like when you go into business, you can do all the forecasting, and you know, all this like COVID-19 in 2020, you never know what will happen. So in the beginning of 2020, I was planning like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell this project. I'm going to do this project. I'm going to refinance this, all plan out. And it's just not on schedule, you know, like in reality, because of the whole pandemic. So in business, that's the thing that we are taking on in terms of risk, as well as the reward. So the reward could be huge in business. So
Mm,
there's a limit how much you can do. As an employee, you can climb the corporate ladder, but there's a limit how much you can earn, because you know, even you earn 100,000, 200, that's kind of the most people like that's the kind of top of their career. But as an entrepreneur, there's no limit how much you can achieve. I'm sure we'll discuss this more later about raising capital and how you scale. So in Chinese, there's a word called the word working is called gong. Is written like this. So what it means is that it means working. And there's a saying is that the gong, there's no there's a limit. There's you can't exceed. There's a ceiling. It can't be the head and grow beyond that ceiling.
mm,
So it's
mm.
like 公字不出头, which is means you cannot. There's a limit. There's a ceiling of being an employee where you cannot grow beyond that.
It's like a cap, you know.
I can't. Yeah.
You're capped at a certain amount, and it doesn't matter
Yes.
how much extra effort you put in it. It's like, well, the boss says, thanks, thanks, but you're not getting paid anymore for that effort, you know. So it's great. It's great. You got a little portfolio. Now, there's so many different types of investments which are out there. Not just property. You got people who
Yeah.
do um, stocks and shares and forex
Correct.
and the whole shebang. What
Yeah.
made you pick property above other choices? I'm sure in what you was doing before, you probably had maybe close access to investing in shares in different companies, I'd
Yeah.
assume. But why property? Why pick that above? Or do you do others as well, but mainly property? How does that work for you?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, before the property, business. We invest in everything, the stocks and shares, the funds, and everything, to fully diversify our funds. So it's a very interesting and good question, Roger, because well, if you have a lot of money, we, we should be like diversify our money. And for me, why property is really because of I wanted to start a business because it can be run as a business, not just putting your money and parking your money and grow. Because this is more than just an investment; it's a business where you can leverage bank and private finance to grow. Of course, in financial market, you can. There's lots of tools and derivative where you can leverage, but property you can do it as a proper business, as well as, and it is also a proven business. It's a proven business. We're not starting something new. We're not creating something new. We're just doing something that many other people have done it before. So we just follow the footsteps and replicate in our own area or property. So it's pretty safe and proven business. And on top of that, of course, it will be bricks and mortar. It's a real asset. It's not a piece of paper. When you go and buy stocks, it's a piece of paper. If a company go bankrupt, you lose everything. So bricks and mortar, if things really go in a pear shape, you still got building and bricks and mortar, and you have more control on your own money, on the project, on your investment. You make a day-to-day decision, so you got more control. If you put money into other funds, and fund manager will have fully control of where and what they invest in. So in property, you decide where and what do you want to invest, and after you bought the property, what do you want to do with it? So you have full control of that. Icing on the cake in the long term, property is it will give you good return in a very long term. It's inflation link. So if the money that you're holding is going to diminishing in terms of value, it is going to be, because there's an inflation every year, because Bank of England is targeting 2% of inflation rate every year going forward. And it's going to protect you against your losing the value of your money. Is parking your money in property. And you see a lot of rich people, wealthy people, that do park their money in property. Imagine you have 10 million or 20 million or 50 million pounds of cash. You got to park in somewhere, you're gonna hold as cash. So that's one of the big advantage of property is in the long term, you should be receiving inflation linked return. So your return in the long run should be roughly equal to at least the inflation rate in the UK. And one thing that we are experiencing right now is government is printing money, pumping millions and millions of pounds into the economy. This is at least twice or triple the size of the money printing compared to the 2008 financial crisis, right? So what it means is that, imagine all of a sudden you have a lot of money supply in the market, in the economy. So the first thing would happen is that the asset price will go up, right? The stock will go up, and the property price will go up, because by definition you have more money going into the market, and that money needs to be spent somewhere, right? So that is one of the ways that government used to stimulate the economy, is to pumping the money into the economy. And at the moment, we're not seeing the effect, the full effect yet right now, but in the next 3 to 5 years in the near future, we will see that money will be seen in the market, hence like the market would go up.
That's interesting. Yeah, I had a few questions, but it was like, as you was talking, they sort of disappeared, and I was sort of transfixed on what you were saying. But yeah, that makes total sense. And I guess it's a lot safer. I've seen some people who, the moment a problem happens with a business and they've bought shares, I've seen people close to suicide over that. You know, it's like, wow, just, you know, watching the market crash, that's got to be a painful thing.
There's a lot of emotion in the market, right? In the market. So what you see today, um, in um, in the property market, in the stock market, is all about emotion. So let's say when the pandemic hit, the COVID-19 hit, the market would crash. And when you see the Brexit, when you see the vaccine news came out, and the market just going up again. So is in what you see in the stock market and property market, well, more of the stock market, is the reflections of people expectation of future,
Right.
right? It doesn't mean that this will be a reality, but what it means is that people's expectation, right?
Mm.
So that's why you're seeing that the market is actually still okay last year in 2020. Is not as bad. So what it means, that my interpretation is that people are still optimistic of the market in the near future,
Hmm.
right? So we'll see.
Yeah, we shall. We shall. So you left your corporate job, you went into property as a lifelong decision, and
Mhm.
you felt confident that it's gonna it's gonna work. You obviously felt confident that it's gonna work. For someone who wants to do the same thing,
Yeah,
um, what would you say are the things that they need to look out for? Like what should be their, I don't know, their checklist before deciding to take the leap, like yourself?
yeah. There are a lot of things that you need to consider, of course, before you take the leap on faith. But in terms of when you're starting out, I always think that there's the three key kind of areas you should think about, and to decide how you should be starting your journey. And that is three things. The one is the time,
Mm-hmm.
okay, uh, and one is capital, which is the money, the funds that you have, how much fund you have, and three is the experience. Okay, how much experience you have when you start your property journey. So let me elaborate that. So first thing is the time, which is how much time do you have every week to dedicate to property investing? Okay, so is that 1 hour? Is that 3 hours? Is that 10 hours? Is it 20 hours? So that would determine your strategy, and how much hands-on and hands-off would you like to be, right? So this is also linked to the experience level. Like if you have no experience, zero experience, like do you want to be hands-on or hands-off, right? If no experience, you either go to learn from someone else who have done it before and do it yourself, and that linked to the time as well. You're going to put in time and effort to learn and actually do it. Or you partner with someone else who have done it before, already in the game, so that save you time. And time and experience are two things. And the third thing is more about your capital. How much money do you have? Okay, if you have 10,000, or if you have 100,000, or you have £1,000,000, it's a different story.
Yeah.
I've known people in the game. They started about the same time as mine. They already bought 20 or 30 property already, without much of the effort, because they already have the money in to invest. So they just go and buy, park the money, and create a cash really quickly, right? So for them is not much issue, right? So I think experience is the least important one. The more important is the time and the money.
Time and money.
You have to have one of those. Okay, either have money and you have no time, that's fine. You can find someone to work with you and outsource a lot of things. That's pretty easy solution.
Mm.
If you have time, have no money, it's a bit harder, but it's not impossible. Where you can raise capital, work with someone who have money, JV, and source property to rent, etc. So you can make it work as well.
So
So if you have
JV,
no time,
joint venture, right?
yeah,
For
joint
people who
venture.
don't
Yeah.
know, joint venture. Okay, cool.
Sure, joint venture for people who are not in property. Joint venture means like partner with someone else.
Right.
So if you have no money and no money and no time, and you got to squeeze some time out, you got to do something, right? So you got to have time. You got to squeeze time from weekends and late evenings to learn and start working with someone.
What does it mean to dedicate time to property? So you don't have a property. What sort of things are people doing to get a property? What are what are they doing? You know, all right, I want to get a property. What does a person need to do? What's the procedure in finding the right property?
Yeah, sure. Let me explain. For in every property business, if you're talking about property investment business, for me there are four main pillars, right? So the first two is, one is you got to find a property and find a site. So it's like the deal site. You're gonna find a deal. You're gonna find a property or land or something to do with it as a deal. Okay, so you're gonna as a minimum, going to go to do research, understand your area, look for the property, view the property, and put in offers and progressing towards the acquisition of the deal. That's one side. So another side, which happen at the same time, is the finance, the capital. Okay, so you got to get the money from bank, as well as you're going to work with private investors, right? So these are the people who will work best with you, especially during the recession, which we are likely to experiencing in the 2021 as well. So during the recession time, what happens is a lot of banks going to tighten their lending. So we see that as well in the recent past few months, which the down value, the property price, the property value, which is equivalent to reducing the loan to values, right?
Right.
So they're tightening their lending. So this is the time we're going to work with private investors. People have the capital in the bank, and they want to park their money with people like myself and yourself who are doing the work and find deals. And then you get two of them line up and marry them, and then that is going to be the property project you're going to start to work on. So you buy the property or site, and then you got the finance investors from banks or whoever, and then the third pillar is the project delivery and management. So it could be you're fixing. So the overall thing that you do on the project delivery is solving a problem. So what is the problem you're solving when you buy the property? So a lot of time for us is we're buying a rundown property and desirable property, and then we do it up into very high standard HMO. So that's the problem we are solving. And then the solution we're providing is high-end rooms that we rent out to professionals. And sometimes it could be a legal issue on the lease that you fix that issue. So basically, you do something to solve the problem of the deal, and then you make money of that. So that is the third pillar: is the project delivery and the management. You might need to manage the refurbishment, managing the people to deliver the projects. And the fourth pillar, to me, is the exits. So what would be the exits that you want to execute? It could be selling the property, it could be refinancing, and then you manage the tenants on an ongoing basis. So that is the fourth pillar. How are you going to run that property or the site going forward, or going to exit at that time? So that is the fourth pillar. So to answer your questions, you asked me about how is it like to actually doing the property. Is there any activities that is fit into the four pillars?
Yeah.
would be running your business. You're finding deals, you're finding the finance, and then you deliver the project, and then you work on the exits or managing the tenants going forward.
Oh, that's awesome. Let's say, I'm sure you got different people who have different amounts of money which they have to start off with, and that'll
Sure.
probably be a big determining factor as to maybe their approach or what type of property they're going to go for. Let's say you have limited funds. Would you suggest it would be better to try and marry it up with an investor to get a larger amount of funds? Or would you suggest them to start off with, get their feet wet and find a smaller property by themselves? What would you say would be better?
That's a really good question, Roger. I've seen people done many different ways to make it work, especially in Square Mile. People are very, very time poor, and they might have capital and they might not have capital, as much capital. So it is, first thing is based on the three things I mentioned just now: the time, the money, and the experience. And second thing is about the why, right? And why do you want to invest in property? Okay, do you want to build a business? Do you want to just earn some cash, like one-off, twice and third time I'm going to quit, you're going to stop? Or is this something that you want to build as a pension, right? And this will motivate you. And what is the end game for you in property, right? So if we begin with the end in mind, then we can make a better decision. What should we do right now?
Right, right.
Okay. And is your objective going to be learning from someone who's done it before, learning about refurb? Is your objective trying to minimize the travel? Then you're going to work locally, right? So if you live in London and then you want to, you don't have much time and you don't want to travel 3 to 5 hours up north, it just doesn't work. If you want to buy like 50,000 or 30,000 pound of the property, the small property, and if you're in London, you may want to do rent to rent. So there are three things I can think in terms of. There are probably more ways, like three things I can think of right now that you can do when you have very little money. Which is, the first thing is to do rent to rent. It's a very low capital kind of low barrier of entry in terms of capital level. If you don't have a lot of money, 5 to 10 grand per deal, you can make it work. Or sourcing property, sourcing deals is a good way where you can learn how to source good deals and how to speak to estate agents, how to source direct to vendor deals. And that train your skill set. When you want to build your own portfolio, you can use the same skill set as well. So it's more about sourcing deal. What it means by that is that you find the deals and then you sell it on to someone else, to investors, and charge a commission. So you earn some cash in advance. So another way you mentioned just now, joint venture, is partner up with someone who have the capital and basically work with them, right? So you got to, by doing that, you got to have the experience. You got to learn about property and put in the time to find deals and partner with someone who have the capital, and then work together. So those are the things that I think for people who have very little money can think of. And of course, you got to invest in yourself, learn about it, learn from others. So this is one of the ways we did really, like when we are very time poor, work in the city. One of the deals that I've done is to partner with someone who find the deals and do the projects, and we have a bit of capital. Then we just park it. We know the area as well, but we have little time to actually deliver the projects and finding good deals. We partner with this guy that we put in the money, and then he found the deals, and he do all the work, and then he managing the tenant as well. So basically, we go 50-50 on this project. We sold this property, and then we split the profit. So in every joint venture, it's about seeing what you have, and what you do not have, right? So what you have, and you're going to find someone that have something that you do not have, you know,
Yeah,
something that our strength and other people's weakness and other people's weakness your strength. So you just marry up, and that's how it works. So that is one of the ways that you can make it work when you have very little capital. But if you have little capital and little time, and I think that's a real issue where,
they just need
however,
to find it. They just need to find time if they really
yeah,
want
you
it to
just need to
work,
find
right?
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I think that it with money it's a bit harder, but I think with time people can always manage if they really want it to work. Otherwise,
yeah.
don't do it.
So, so that, exactly, yeah. That comes to the why. That the why is really important.
Mm,
That will drive you and motivate you during the dark time and the hard time. And there will be a hard time for every business. There will be a hard time, and most business fail in their first 3 years because it's not easy. It's easier if you want to take an easier route, work for someone else. That's much more easier, right? If you're going to have be an entrepreneur business, it's going to be hard, but it's rewarding,
yeah.
right? So
There's an expression that if you work hard, then you'll live an easy life in the future. But if you take the easy route, then you'll have a harder life in the future. So,
yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, there's a saying similar to that as well. Is you work hard so that you don't have to work hard in the future.
I like that. I like that. So let's say somebody wants to, someone has a lot of money,
Yep.
but they don't know what to do. And let's say that they listen to our podcast and they're like, I like these guys. I want to invest in one of their projects.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, but they're unsure. It's like, I like you, but what is my security? What sort of security can a person expect when they want to be an investor or, do some sort of JV partnership
Sure.
with someone else that they kind of trust, but they want some kind of level of security?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like every investment security is super important because you've got to know that your money is safe. That's the rule number one of Warren Buffett. Rule number one is not to lose your money.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I think it's a fair question. It's a really good question. I mean, like two first and foremost, as a property investment, your first security it is the property. So it's a bricks and mortar. It is real estate. So that is number one security. Number two security is you have someone like Roger or myself. That's your security,
Yeah.
because we've been through the property education, we've been through some property projects, we've been investing in property, so we know what are the risks, what are the mistakes that people make, and we made the mistakes ourselves. So we see the things that based on our experience and see other people doing the same. So we kind of minimize all the risks as much as possible in terms of least amount of possibility that things could go wrong. So we kind of maximize the success when people invest with us, because we invest in ourselves. We pay a lot of money learning about property,
That's for
and
sure.
and not only that, we doing we're doing the work as well. So we go viewing the property, we do the projects, and we learn. Plus, we're not only learning, because the smartest people is not learning from their own mistakes, but we're also learning from other people's mistakes. That's how we connected in the property events like Square Mile Property Meet, the business mastermind. So we learn from other people's mistakes as well, so that we can maximize the chance of the success. Not only that, we have, for me, I have always have a mentor who as a sounding board to check our high level deals and strategy of our business. So we're trying to run it as safe, as secure as possible for
Mhm.
every investment that we make.
Yeah, that's good for people to know. Awesome. Yeah, nice. Thank you for that. So we're living
No
in
problem.
this crazy situation, the the
Hmm.
pandemic. Lots of people social distancing, and um, I had a leak through the roof of one of my properties, and I had
Oh no.
go around to check it out. And well, I had a builder go there, but I wanted to check the work. And you mentioned about distance of property, and it's
Yeah.
not the most ideal when you got to travel like 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it was a bit weird because I turned up and we kind of wanted to shake hands, but didn't, and I'm wearing a mask, and it was a bit weird. But it
Yeah.
was it was formal and informal at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, and then the builder came round, and we was all talking together, and it was cool. um and one of the things we was talking about was just where the future is going in terms of property, well, me and the builder anyway, because he's an investor himself.
Hmm.
And he's still working. He said it's a bit slower, but it's still possible.
Yeah.
um and I think he's dealing with mainly buy-to-lets, and he said it's buy-to-lets are quite safe.
Yeah.
um, HMOs, he said he's not too sure. I think
Hmm.
he's working on a few HMOs, but he said
Hmm.
serviced accommodations are being affected right now.
Right.
So
100%.
I wanted to get your insight on the whole pandemic and people who want to invest. Obviously they want to put their money in the right place. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody knows that property is good, but it's like,
Yeah.
which area of it is the
Yeah.
safest move? um yeah, so what do you think is the smartest strategy right now?
Yeah. That's a fantastic question. I mean, like everyone um, have their own view of on this in terms of the pandemic. And one thing I learned to before I answer your question is that one thing I learned is that I work with a lot of professionals and the people in property, including like builders, like architect, etc., etc. As a business owner ourselves, we make the decision. Um, we are the final decision maker. We are responsible of everything that we do. So the reason I say that is that you might be in your property journey, you might hear different opinions or different, well, you might even hear conflicting information, and even from the, let's say, letting agent or estate agent, different estate agent or different letting agent might have different view on different things in the same area. So as a business owner, you got to make a judgment call of how where you're going to buy a property, right? So the way I do it is that whenever I speak to someone, always think about their vested interest, right? So are they, what is their background, or and what is their portfolio? For example, letting agent, if they, oh, that area is good, that area is not good, I would ask them, how big is your portfolio and which area that you cover, because you cannot comment on the area that you're not in, right? So that's something I learned, is that even in this, um, when you're running a projects, like builders might, for example, might give you an idea that is good from building perspective, right? It might not be best for your investment return perspective, or client demand perspective, or finance perspective, lender's perspective. So as a property entrepreneur, what we got to do is to understand where they come from for each property power team professionals. And then we got our biggest value add is to bring all these view and suggestions and inputs, might be conflicting, and then you filter out and make that your decision and your business. So that's one of the things I'd like to mention before I answer your question,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
really interesting. So that is a valid point. Absolutely. You need to almost cover all angles first before you can make an informed decision. I understand.
yeah. So that is kind of linked to the question that you asked me. What is the smartest strategy out there? Is that I think for every investment, property investment, the exit is the most important element. So it's to begin with the end in mind. So regardless of the market condition, whether we're in a pandemic or not, for every property, we should have multiple exits. Okay.
Right.
So what it means is that, for example, the service accommodation that you mentioned, and a lot of service accommodations, what they're doing now is that they're turning into buy-to-let. In London, there are all of flats that in London, because it's affected by COVID-19, that they can't let out their flats or rooms. They will need to make money because business are not running, they can't let out. So they turn the whole flat into buy-to-let. For other areas, there might be a house, like a service accommodation. I'm seeing also they are turning into HMO. So it's like more of a high-end kind of like HMO, very high-end, because they are kind of a low-end hotel. But when you turn to HMO, it became a very high-end HMO. So that is going to be another exit. So when we run our numbers, if you're doing service accommodation, in my mind is that what if one day this SA service accommodation market doesn't work, which is year of 2020, most of that are struggling, then you got to pivot your business model. Can you do it as buy to let? Is that going to kill all your cash flow? Probably going to kill your cash flow. But if you quit your job and you rely on that cash flow, you're going to go back to work straight away, because that is what happens. So to kind of answer your initial question as well, like when you quit your job, you're going to have some contingency in your business as well as your personal as well. So you're going to have a cash reserve to make a leap of faith. And yeah, so multiple exits is extremely important, is the key. And is that going to hurt your business? What happened, like if you run some numbers, what happened if when you do SA, then you need to turn it to buy to let or HMO? And that's exactly what happened during the pandemic. And also a lot of people might rent to key workers. So I see a lot of people, the first thing they do is that because they're losing out all the corporate clients because the people are not working. And then what they do is that they rent out all these empty rooms and flats to key workers, to doctors, nurses, or they rent it to people who are self-isolating. Right.
Self-isolating.
Yeah, so if you need to self-isolate yourself for 14 days, or if you're working in hospital, you want to be away from your family to protect your family, then you might want to have a different place to live in. Then you can rent a flat or a room outside, which might be a short-term stay. Right. So to answer your question more directly, what is the smartest strategy out there? And it's more about, in general, there are 3 points. Right. The first thing is buying at the right price, not overpaying. So this is something that we're seeing in the past few years. A lot of people overpaying and to get into the deal. And that this is the time that we do not overpay for any property. So ideally buying at a discount. If you're not, make sure that at least not overpaying. And second thing is structuring the deal. How do you structure the deals, right? You could structure it creatively, right? You can put the lease option or delay completion. What it means is that you can exchange and then complete the deal later on. So that minimizes your initial capital that you need to put in. So third thing you can think of is value add. You got to add value. That links to the point that we mentioned. We are solving a problem here. So when we solve a problem, we're adding value that will uplift the rent and or the price of the property. So regardless of any strategy that you do, you mentioned about buy to let, HMO, service accommodations, even in doing development, anything that you thinking about doing in property, right? There's the three things you could consider is the price, buying at the right price, the structure of the property, how do you structure the deals creatively, and the value add is the third one.
Awesome, awesome. So
Yeah.
if you, okay, let's say you got a service accommodation, you're thinking, oh damn, this ain't looking too well, and
Yeah,
I want to turn it into a HMO.
right.
How is that going to work when it comes to the bank? Because obviously you have a certain type of mortgage going on. So,
That's Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, that's the kind more of like the implementation. How do we implement that? I think that is the second thing we should be worrying. So the first thing is, of course, is there a demand of HMO in the area,
right, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So that's the first thing. Like if you have an SA, are you in an area that you can rent out as a HMO, and who are your tenants? Are they professionals? Are they students? Or a student might not be getting back to school, uni like this year. Most of them are not. And is that social housing workers, social housing, which is a council tenants.
Mhm.
That is not likely to be the case because you are high-end, kind of high-end HMO. You're likely to attract more of like a professionals and students. So I think that's the first thing. Is there demand for HMO? Right. The second thing you mentioned there is the actual implementation. I'm sure in the past year during the pandemic, the bank would be a bit flexible. This is something you could check with the bank, whether you can rent it to as a HMO. I'm sure a lot of banks will be happy for you to rent out rather than just keep it empty.
Yeah.
That's something that you need to check to ask for consent from the bank. And another thing you might want to think of is the reg, which is the HMO regulation.
Yeah, yeah, that's another one. The course
Yeah,
on
so
HMOs, talking about all the regulations. I'm like, damn. Yeah, please continue.
yeah, so that is something you've got to make sure. Check on the council website and go on to the HMO requirement and the regulation page. You see a list of things that you need to do and meet the minimum room size, and you're going to have a fire alarm, a smoke alarm, for example. You're going to have minimum space for the communal area. You're going to have a fire door. You're going to have like all sort of things that that you need to meet to run as a HMO. So if you are a hotel, you are in a better place because hotel have usually hotel is all like we have a fire door, everything, escape route, etc. So you're fine. You can easily you got a fire rack, etc. So you can easily to convert to HMO. If you're SA service accommodation and you do not have the rag, then that's something you need to think about as well.
Mm.
So especially, oh, on top of that is the licensing. If you have more than 2 household, you're technically HMO,
Mhm.
then you need to look at the local council, whether you're in Article 4, and then you might need to apply for licensing.
Oh yeah, Article 4, Article 4. So Article 4 is uh how would you explain it? Some areas can have HMO. Yeah, how would you
Right.
explain Article 4?
Sure, we're getting a bit technical here
Oh
now.
wow, yeah, yeah, maybe. Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, that's fine, that's fine.
That's fine. I mean, like, I can explain it. That's fine. It's not a problem. So, Article 4 is something that is preventing you to convert. It could be commercial building, but in our context, we're talking about HMO, convert a normal house into a house in multiple occupation. So in all areas in the UK, by default, you can convert a normal house into a HMO that holds up to 6 people. Okay, so it's not number of rooms; it's number of tenants, 6 people. So you can do that under permitted development. So you can do it without applying for planning permission.
Right.
So in some areas, for example, Birmingham, the whole Birmingham are now in Article 4. So if you buy a property in Birmingham and you want to convert into a HMO, you got to apply for the planning permission before you can do the work.
Right. Right.
Right. And you might not get the permission if the council think it's not suitable, or if you're in an area that very saturated or crowded area of HMO, and each council have a specific rules of how many HMO they can have in the very small areas.
Got you.
So something to consider as well, which is something you definitely need to look into if you're thinking to convert a house into HMO, whether you're in Article 4. However, the upside of having a HMO in Article 4 is that you are almost certain there is a demand. Okay, because the reason of having that Article 4 in is that there are too many HMO in the area. The council need to control that number of HMO. But the upside of that is that you almost certain there's a demand of tenant in that specific area.
So Article 4 is like a restriction.
Yep.
However, you may still be given permission to.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Correct. Yeah. So you got more loophole. Also not loophole. Got more loop to jump over.
Right.
More barrier of to convert that into HMO. But once you get that, you got almost qualified certain in terms of demand. And the good side on the finance side, the lender will love it, because not all people, not everyone would get the planning permission in Article 4 area. So if you get that, your valuation from the lender will be in your favor.
Got you. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. So so in many seminars, I've heard people mention, it's not even just seminars, like you just hear it everywhere, where people are always trying to instruct you to get used to not using your own money ever. You know, they like, you know, if you try to buy a property with your own money, you'll run out quickly. I'm always hearing that. Don't use your own money. And, you know, the popular thing is OPM, other people's money. So the question is, where? The question is it easy to raise finance? What's the fundamentals to have people rushing to you to want to hand you cash to invest with you?
Sure, it's a really good question, Roger. I think it's all down to how much money you have. As we had a discussion just now, if you have lots of money, you don't have to have other people's money in order to invest in property. So I suppose it's more of your situation in terms of everyone's situation, like depend on your own situation. But of course, also depend on your desirable goal. If you want to be ambitious, if you want to build a proper business, property business, you got to work with other people. So I don't usually use the word other people money. I mean, it make me feel that it's less important when you use other people money. So to me, it's even more important than my money, because it's not my money, right? So I usually refer them as a private investors. So they're not a bank, so they're private investors who have the capital and they want to invest in property. So that is one of the key elements in every property business if they want to scale to the next level, because there's a limit, no matter how much money you have, unless you are multi-millionaire or billionaires, there's a limit how much money you have. And when you hit that point, you got to find other ways to scale your business. That is when the other people money, is where private investors come in, where you basically what you need is the access to capital. Okay, so you don't have to have the capital, but you need to have access to the capital. To me, it's all sum up into one word, that to have people who are lining up to invest with you, which recently I've signed up three investors in the past month, for my business. They're ready, fully ready to invest with us in 2021. So that all sum up into one word is the trust, right? For investment is all about trust. So it's all about building that trust, and that trust comes from building the relationship, getting to know you, like you, and basically trust you, right? So that's come with a process, in term, and the timing as well. You can take time and to build a relationship and understand more about each other. Think about it as a marriage, right? So before you sign the paper, put the ring on the lady, and commit for the rest of your life.
Or the
And
man, you got some people, you know.
man, yeah, and that is the commitment of lifetime, right? That is the trust that you put into another party, right? A very, very big trust. And how do you build that trust? Is that it takes time. You hang out together. You go into a relationship, and then you go out for meal. You go out for movie. You talk on the phone. You build that trust. And before that, what would happen is that you connect with each other, right? So you might connect with friends of friends, or it might be online, it might be on Facebook. That is a different touch point. So it's the same, exactly the same process in investors, private investors. So they got to know you, they're going to spend time with you, they're going to connect with you on a personal level, as well as on business level. They're going to make money. But the key thing is all about the whole journey. If I were to sum up, is building trust. So there are 4 C's I'm going to share with you in terms of building that trust and the investor relationship. Is the first C is the connection, right? So online or face to face, there's the connection. There's the first connection, the second connection, the third connection. We met through one of the event as well. That's the first connection that we have, and then we following up. We have that further catch up meeting multiple times. We went to a gym a couple of times. We went for meals, and we do a Zoom calls, and that is the connection and journey. Is very similar here. So the second C is a commitment. So what is the commitment for you and the investors, right? So the first thing, the commitment, is the time commitment, right? So we spend time together. So I also always look for how much is the investor willing to spend time with me before they put their money with me. Because if someone is busy and they can't even spend time with you to on a phone call, like how are you going to work together? How are you going to invest together? So that's always the thing I'm looking for, is a commitment to each other in terms of meeting up each other, and of course the money commitment later on. But the first thing is the time commitments. So commitment is the second C. So third C is a communication. So once you have that commitment with each other, so we want to build that relationship, then we're going to have constant communication. Like you and I, we have a couple of phone calls and Zoom calls, and we build that relationship through communications. So similar to the analogy I mentioned, is a relationship. You're going to keep in touch. You're going to WhatsApp. You're going to, and if you're not doing that, is you're not heading into a right direction. You're not going to get married at some point. So you got to have communication. Even our investors invested with us, we have regular communication about the projects, our life, our business, what is happening. So that is a constant and regular communication. So the fourth C is collaboration. So that's working together. That's the business part. So once you have the connection, commitment, communication, and that's how you kind of come together and look at how you can work together, and what is your strength, what your weakness, and what do you have and not have, and how can we collaborate and work together and make money together and have fun together.
That's it. That's it. That's great. That's great. That's amazing to know. For both sides, for people who have the portfolio and they're trying to raise capital, and for the other side who have the money but they're unsure on what they should look out for, what's the fundamentals for them when they're handing over their money, what are the sort of people that they need to look out for, and just some key bullet points before handing over cash, so both people happy with the whole situation. They're not nervous about it. They're both in full understanding of what they're doing, what agreement they're going through, and building a great relationship along the way. Not just like, oh, here's the cash, get on
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. If you are the people who just want to partner money and make money, like there are many other places you can do that. Like that you search online, there's many platforms where you part your money and get your return. That's it. So that's not the business we are in. We're in the business, in the people business interaction. We have the interaction we have on a personal level, and you could learn about property as well. So that's more than just the return, more than just the investment return. So we have the personal relationship to understand more about property, the way we do things, etc.
Yeah.
So if you were to sum up, like people looking for where to park their money when they invest in property, I think the fundamental is the trustworthy. It's the person that you work with. You're going to trust them with your money. That's the fundamental. And if you think that you can trust them with the money, then and that is the key.
Yeah.
And can you work well with these people? Do you believe in them, in their vision, and the track record, and etc. etc. I think it's all come down to the trust element, because we have investors actually based in Singapore, and he trusts me a lot. Like a lot of things I explained to him, and he just trusts me fully, 100%. So one thing we have to do as a business owner is that we need to protect the trust, right? The trust doesn't come easy. You can build trust years to build a trust, but it takes seconds to lose that trust, right? So you got to protect that. So I mean, for people who are looking to invest, I think it's looking for people who are trustworthy, and because there's a lot of shark in the industry where you could lose all your money, and if the return is too good to be true, it's likely to be too good to be true, because I know people who are from overseas. They're looking to invest in property in the UK. They got invest in a project that is 100% return or 200% return, and basically, well, I personally know them. They're from overseas,
Right.
and basically half a year later, and a year later, the company went bust, and they lost all their money, all their money.
That's painful.
It's too good to be true, because it's a lot of return.
200%.
But it comes with risk. Why would people give so much of their return away? There must be something.
Yeah.
Okay. So just be careful, and that's why when we work with investors, we take time for them to learn about us, as well as for us to learn about them, learn about each other, understand about each other before we go into the business. So that is really important to us.
Super. That's great.
To building that relationship and trust,
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah. Relationship is everything. Well, trust is everything.
Yeah.
I think that's all, Aaron. I think yeah, I think I got everything I needed to hear.
Excellent. One final thing to mention, Roger. I've recently set up my website. If anyone wants to know and connect with me, or follow my social medias, if you go to www.aaronkok.co.uk, and you can find everything about myself and all my features on podcast and YouTube, and this will be on there as well. So once it's uploaded, so if you want to get in touch and learn about property investing, get in touch. And I usually post a lot of content on social media. It's free. It's a real life experience about everything that I do, and some tips of investing as well.
Lots and lots. I've seen you've got a ton of videos which takes people through everything, you know, projects that you're working on, tips. And they're not long videos, they're easily digestible videos. So guys, definitely check it out. I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can click on it and follow.
Thank you.
Aaron, once again, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your time. You shared a lot.
Same here. Thanks for having me, Roger.
No worries, sir. You take care.
Take care.
Goodbye.